Hi there. The Co-Creating Wellbeing course, as well as being run in the UK, is being run across Europe in Italy, Portugal, Denmark and France. And today I want to talk to you about a case study from Italy from one of my colleagues, Daniele. So I will talk you through his slides and an example of co-design in Italy. So the context. The recent Italian reform of the third sector introduced co-design and co-plan as possible forms of formal collaboration between the state and the third sector, so non-governmental organisations, social cooperatives, etc. After the national reform, Tuscany, followed soon by other regions, has implemented the reform within their own administration. And here is the definition of co-design given in the regional guidelines that they worked with. The term co-design means adopting, with the active presence of several participants, a series of activities aimed at clearly established objectives within a limited time frame with a defined budget. It is the complex set of activities and processes in which the different partners share knowledge and skills and other resources to design and implement products, services and solutions, achieving mutually complementary objectives and creating value for the benefit of the recipients. In this favourable legislative context, several co-plan and co-design experiences between regional and local authorities and non-governmental organisations spread. One of the fields most affected by co-approaches is independent living for people with disabilities, boosted by a 2016 law which promoted and financed it, and they called it the Dopo di Noi projects. So what is the Dopo di Noi project? So this translates as after us. In 2017, Tuscany financed 28 Dopo di Noi projects aimed at implementing independent living and supported living services for people with disabilities. All projects had to use co-approaches. Some of the experiences have been described and discussed in a report by Umana Persone, a network of non-governmental organisations in 2022. And the information provided here and in the following slide refers to the projects discussed in the Umana Persone's report. The co-creators were workers from the local units of the regional health system and from local municipalities, non-governmental organisations and associations of people with disabilities. But what went wrong when using co-approaches in these projects? There were no clear strategies to handle conflicts and to manage the relations between co-creators. There was a lack of time. The co-creation process was too short to allow people to develop a shared vision. There was closeness to other ideas and changes, so not much movement from what already existed. And people were closed off to the idea of change. And there were a lack of tools to evaluate the success of the project, so people didn't know if a project had gone well or not. So how do we handle these potentially weak points? So first of all, we need to remember that it is important to encourage the co-creators to consider how to work together and encourage equal voice and power balance. The co-creators should co-define the rules together, including how responsibilities will be shared across the team and how to handle conflicts if they should arise. Secondly, remember that a great place to start in the co-creation process is to know the co-creators and if they are working with any limitations as to what can be achieved. It's important to foresee risk and prevent risk. Furthermore, the co-creation setting should make people feel comfortable. You may also consider that online tools can be a way to integrate in-person meetings and gain time. Also, remember that co-creation should not be a consultation or a tick box exercise to say that you have talked to somebody about your plans. It's ultimately about moving from individual decision making and narrative development to a collaborative group of key people making decisions and narratives together. The co-creators may also wish to include a facilitator in the process, that is, someone skilled to mediate the process. Remember what you learned about co-evaluation in the co-refine phase. What would you consider a success? And what you consider a success needs to be decided together at the co-define stage explicitly, so that when you reach the final stage, you are clear as a team as to whether or not your co-creation has been successful. You also need to decide exactly what is being assessed. Are you examining the success of the final output? Are you examining the success of the application of co-creation processes themselves? Or maybe you wish to examine both. Think about how you can gain collective and collaboratively developed feedback from people, as well as individual feedback to help you evaluate. Examples of activities that you can use to evaluate in your co-creation processes and output will be explored during this Module 3, including in the day-to-day session. So that was an overview of a case study in Italy and what they have learned from their experiences of using co-approaches. As always, the references that are included in this talk are provided, and you will be able to look those up online. Many thanks for listening.